What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the podcast. Today, we're going to talk about how to make money and successfully plan destination photo shoots. It's a hot topic. A lot of people ask us that. We get to travel the world doing what we love. Sometimes it's hard to believe it's a job, but there is a lot that goes into it. I think we should talk about that today. I would say throughout most of my career, that is a question I get asked a lot about.
What's the question? How do you get started?
It's all along those lines. How do you get started? How do you coordinate it? How do you run it? How do you sell it?
What was your first destination photo shoot?
Yeah. So I actually didn't realize it was a thing. So I stumbled across it once again, right? Just too stupid to really know any better.
My stupid man.
I'm a stupid son of a bitch. We had a high school senior. And I think the weather here in St. Louis, and this was very early on, I would say, okay, you have to rewind. 18 years ago and longer, most senior portraits were in studio.
That's what all mine were.
Right. And that was normal. When we came on the scene, at least in our market, we ripped the Band-Aid off that, and we were like, we're not shooting in studio. We're on location.
You're like super wide angles.
Yeah, angles.
Weird angles.
Right, and that's what put me on the map. I mean, that's how we became successful, and that's how we got into education as well. So, of course, right out of the gate, that was not the norm. So there was no one really – I was just happy to be outside in, this area shooting, let alone thinking about shooting in New York or Chicago or anything like that. And so one day we had a senior who had to reschedule their photo shoot. And the mom called in. She's like, man, we have to do this. We have to reschedule our photo shoot. She has to be in New York with me. We're going to I think it was a doctor's visit up in New York. They had family up there. Whatever it was, doesn't matter. And I was like, we can do our senior pictures in New York. I just threw it out. I had no idea what I was going to charge for it, nothing, right? And she's like, you would do that? I'm like, yeah.
You would it's inconveniencing you.
Well, I mean, nobody does. At the time, no one did that, right? It's all, you have to have context and history. No one did that. Everything was in studio. So she's like, you would do that, because you got airfare, hotel, all this other stuff. And I was like, so I was just spitballing it. And I'm like, yeah, we'll go up there and, we'll do it. And you'll come back here and you'll see your pictures here in our studio and everything else will be the same. We didn't charge her an additional session fee. I just charged her the normal session fee, which was even today, same amount, $299. I used that to cover airfare. I had a companion pass. Was my ex-wife at the time. And so she flew for free. And we had the cost of a hotel. So out of the gate, I was probably underwater, $150, when it was all said and done from the session fee. And we did her senior pictures in New York, and then her friends saw that when she got home. And I don't even think at the time, Instagram was a thing.
No.
So her friends saw her pictures when she got home, and they were like, wow, who did those, right? And, it was like, oh, it was Sal Cincottas. And then our name started getting out there. And then all of a sudden, that turned into all sorts of people reaching out to us to go photograph their kids in other cities. So then what that led to, which is why I think we should talk about this, and we still live this way today. We're like, where do you want to go? Mm-hmm. And so we'd put dates on the calendar, and we'd say we're going to be in New York this week. We're going to be in Chicago this week. We're going to be, and then we'd start promoting that to new customers. Every time someone new called in, I'm interested in your packages and pricing. We'd say, yeah, here's our standard in-studio package. Here's our on-location package. Also, not sure what your travel schedule looks like, but we'll be in New York on these dates, Chicago on this date. It's no extra fee.
That is always a selling point when we're like, oh, no, we don't charge you anything extra.
It's nothing extra.
If you can meet us in those cities.
Right. And then we kind of build shoots up there, and that's how it all started. So we don't go to other cities and try to shoot kids in those cities or families in those cities.
Yeah.
It's our existing families that are like, well, we're going to go on a weekend getaway to New York. We're going to go on a weekend getaway to Chicago. And you pick 2 or 3 major cities, and you can start local, right? You could be like, for us here, Chicago's a 4.5-hour drive.
You could drive up and drive back down the same day if you needed to.
Or just spend the night in the hotel, right?
Right, but if you didn't want the expense of a hotel.
Right. You don't have to incur airfare, all that other stuff. But what it ends up doing for your business, and I think more people should do this, not only because you get to travel and it's all a write-off. I think more people should do this because it builds your portfolio. So now where the average photographer in your market might just have the same pictures on the same brick walls, on the same backgrounds, on the same parks, you're like showing shit from, I mean, my God, we've been everywhere in the world. So my portfolio, I've got New York, Chicago, Italy, Ireland, UK. I mean, you name it. We've been so many places. So now that just builds your credibility. We get to see the world. And I think it's funny now that when you think about what you want to do when you retire, like a lot of people are like travel, and we're like,
our dream when we retire is to stop traveling.
Yeah, right.
Is to stay home.
We have been everywhere. I'm sure there's still a couple of things we want to do, but
there are a few places.
But for the most part, that's not what retirement looks like. But I have a question.
I have a question for you first. I know you're supposed to ask me questions too, but your first, I know you're from New York, but that first shoot, were you like, how were you scouting that? Did you go up a day early to try and think about where you're going to do your shoots, or is
I think
New York is so big, and you could spend hours in traffic. How did you plan that?
For me, when we go to any city, and I think we still follow this process today, it's looking for the iconic locations. You're not going to go to New York City and photograph on a brick wall. I can do that here, right? So what I'm thinking about is, how do I get my clients to spend money? And by the way, destination shoots are probably, if I think through history, they spend 40 to 50% more on pictures than somebody who's photographed locally.
Yeah, they spend all that money, time, outfits, all that stuff.
It's once in a lifetime.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're gonna spend that money, right? So whenever I go to a city, I look for the top 3 most iconic places that represent that city, and I make sure we try to hit those 3. Now, some place like New York, there's so many iconic locations. So you go with the basics. You go Brooklyn Bridge, Grand Central Station, Central Park, and you got it covered, and you make a day out of it.
That's the big question for a city like that.
Oh yeah, you're not doing a 2-hour photo shoot. Like if you're going to meet somebody in another city, most I would shoot in a day is probably 2.
Okay.
So that I can spend all morning with one couple, and that's it. It's seniors, couples, families, whatever the case may be. But I spend all morning with one client, all afternoon with another. And then the client I'm with in the morning, we're going to grab lunch together. Client I'm with in the evening, I'm going to try and grab dinner with them, right? So it's so much. That's why the sales are so much larger, because it is so far beyond a photo shoot. It's an experience for everybody involved. You know, now a city like New York, because that's my hometown, I'm taking you to like what I think is the best pizza place. It's just stuff like that. So it's a much more memorable experience for them.
Sorry, what was your question?
No, so my question to you is, because, the biggest thing I see photographers get tripped up on is the logistics of it all, right? Like, how do you sell it? How do you charge for it? How do you coordinate it? How do you stylize it? Give us a little insight into your conversations with clients. How do you sell it to them when that phone call comes in?
Well, selling it is actually the easiest part, because you're talking to them about, like, here's where we're going to be. Are any of these cities meaningful for you? Like, and a lot of times, with us being in St. Louis, a lot of times Chicago is meaningful for that couple. So it's an easy drive for us, and it's easy for them, but it gives them something different from their wedding pictures. So that's another thing. But the city that's that close to us.
If we're talking weddings.
Correct. Yeah. So weddings specifically, another way to sell it is talking about, like, you want pictures that are completely different than your wedding. So if your wedding is in St. Louis, let's go to Chicago and get you a completely different look for your walls, in your home. You have to always plant that seed for them. But for seniors, it's pitched in a way that it's like a once in a lifetime opportunity, and your pictures are not going to look like any of your friends.
They love that shit.
Especially in a small town like O'Fallon. Like, everybody's pictures, you either go to St. Louis or you do some like field in the summer.
Well, and a point of clarification, when we say we're going to be here, we're not really going to be there.
Those are the places we want to go.
Those are the places we want to go, and if we can book enough business, then we'll be there.
Yeah, and sometimes we'll even, let's say we're going to be up in New York. We will stretch it to like Boston, because we can easily get to a city like that.
Right. Yeah.
And still have our trip in New York.
Yeah, it's just thinking about it strategically, right? If I can get a client to pay me for work, and that's going to lead to potentially other work, or just we're going to enjoy time away and see the world, that kind of stuff, it's worth it.
Yep. So as far as like planning goes, it's really not different than a session here. Like they get the normal 17 hats style email that's like your session is confirmed for this date, this time. The only thing I don't do is we don't have a meeting location picked until we're there. And I'll usually tell them I'll text you the night before with an exact address.
They're usually meeting us at our hotel for the first stop.
Especially for seniors, if I'm the one coordinating hair and makeup for those, they'll come to our hotel room for hair and makeup so we can have them try stuff on and get to hang out with them a little bit while they're in the chair.
What about logistics from the transportation, getting around the city?
Yeah.
How do you handle that?
So we learned years ago that while an Uber is very convenient, it's actually really, really inconvenient. So if you've got a client, let's say it's a senior, let's say it's a couple, you're realistically not going to all fit in the same Uber. So that's problem number one. So then you're split into two Ubers going across town in a city like New York City. You're going to get lost. You're going to be waiting on each other.
You're going to be spending a shit ton of money on Ubers.
Yes, also that. But then when you get out, so you meet in the morning for your hair and makeup, and then you go on location. But they have multiple outfits.
Right.
So where's all that being stored? Right. Every time you get in and out of the Uber, you've got to carry all your suitcases, and then you can't get your clothes ironed or wrinkled.
Right.
So they have to be like very meticulously laid into a car.
No place to change.
Right, exactly. So we recommend, or we highly suggest in the first initial, once they say, yeah, I want to go to the city, that's when I'm telling them, book a driver. Here's why. Right. And I explain all of that to them. And I've never had pushback on that.
No, because it makes sense.
And that should not be the photographer's cost either.
No, they're absolutely paying for that.
Yeah. Stylizing, I think you need to keep one outfit. Okay, let me speak specifically for engagement couples. I always tell them to do what they would do. They have their casual, they have their dressy, and then I'm pushing them for a third because we're in another city, we're spending more time with them, and I really want that sale. And 9 out of 10 times, that big, iconic, signature Sal Cincottas shot is in the dress that I push them into, and I'm usually helping them find it. I'll use our account for Rent the Runway and rent this over-the-top dress for the female. Right. Same for the seniors. Although with seniors, we have access to like more, like younger dresses that they're more apt to wear than a bride. Like brides usually have a vision with what they want their look to be.
Yeah, and brides have met us for bridal portraits in other cities as well. After
and they've borrowed our veils. Like people want drama in their pictures.
Well, and I think that's the point: is you have to create something iconic. Mm-hmm. Wherever you decide to go.
And it can't just be the scene that's iconic.
Right. You have to think large in that scene, right? Yep. When we're doing this, I'm thinking minimum, I want to sell a 30-40.
Yep. Print,
canvas, acrylic, right? I'm thinking 30-40. So whenever I'm photographing, I'm going to get the tight shots and all that other stuff. But every scene that we're at, if we're at Grand Central, I'm shooting huge. I want to show the environment. If I got the Brooklyn Bridge in the background, I'm shooting huge. I want to show the environment. And I'm thinking about how I'm going to sell 30-40s. To your point, it can't just be the bridge. It can't just be, Grand Central. It's got to be what you're wearing in said scene.
Yep, the big flowing dress.
And you cannot leave that to chance. No. Or your clients are going to show up with fucking wrinkled clothes.
Always.
I'll never forget early on, we had a couple meet us in Chicago. And they showed up, legit, the groom showed up in flip-flops, cargo shorts, and a Cardinals jersey.
What are they doing? In Chicago, of all places. Like, with a Cardinals jersey.
Because of the rivalry, I'm sure. But how am I selling that to them, right? I'm not. You look like a slob.
Yep.
And that was very, very early on in my career, and that's when I learned we had to control wardrobe, whether it's renting stuff, to your point.
Tapping into our closet.
Yeah. Or just navigating with the client, like, show me what you're wearing.
Yeah. Right? And I'll even, so let's say I don't rent for them. I'll send them links of stuff like, buy this.
Yeah.
Buy it. This is terrible. Buy it. Don't take the tags off and return it.
Yeah.
It's a one-time use thing. We will be very careful, I promise.
Yeah.
But you want them to feel like you're capturing this moment of them, like they're a celebrity. And I think color plays a huge part in that too. So if you can paint that picture for them, like, don't just say wear a dress for this scene. Like, you need a big, long train red dress, and talk about why that color is going to pop.
Yep.
If you want to talk about logistics still, like logistics with travel, it's not even just take your client sessions off the table. You've got logistics that we've learned over the years with like workshops and going over there for just our portfolio shoots. And, I'm terrible with time. I always think we have so much time for stuff. And it's just been beating my head into a brick wall for years to realize that you don't have enough time. You always need to bake in at least an hour in like wiggle room into every section of your day.
Yeah.
Because everything's going to go wrong.
Right.
And if you're ahead of schedule, that's great.
It's going to go wrong. It's just things take more time than you think.
Yeah.
That is your Achilles heel for sure. Mm-hmm. You'll be like, we can do this.
I want to do everything.
I'm like, how much time do we have? Oh, we're with them for an hour and a half. Oh, okay. What?
We're going to 7 spots.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're all 30 minutes apart.
Yeah. That's the other thing I would say is just, you don't want to rush your client through a destination city that you've picked, but you have to be very, to your point, like, look at the traffic patterns, mm-hmm. right? If you're in New York City or Chicago on Saturday, it's completely different than being there on a Thursday at 4 p.m. Like,
so true.
These are different traffic patterns. Like, I love being in Chicago on the weekend because downtown Chicago is fucking empty. Where we go shoot. Now you go New York City, even there, like, you can be in certain parts of the Manhattan and it's just empty, relatively speaking, right? So I think you just have to know and understand, like, it's going to take us this long to get here.
And always make sure you are factoring in a time for snacks.
Yes, you must eat.
It's the most important thing.
Yeah, your clients will get hungry,
yes.
for sure. I think there's money to be made there. I think you just have to start letting, so how do you start doing this? You have to add this to your website, Will Travel. Yeah.
I always find that so tacky.
Oh, really?
On websites to be like, has camera, will travel. And it's like, I know you're being
I'm not
cute.
I'm not saying add some fucking cheesy tagline, but you have to allude to the fact that you travel somewhere in your About Us, in your...
Do we?
I think on our website it's New York. I haven't checked in a while.
Oh,
I think it's New York, Chicago, worldwide.
St. Louis, New York.
Worldwide. Somewhere in there. There's a worldwide.
There is.
Like Mr. Worldwide.
You are Mr. Worldwide.
Little pit bull.
Yes.
No, I think I've found travel photography very rewarding. It's helped me build my portfolio, and there's, this is the other thing. Like, if you want to get started in it and you can't maybe find any clients or something like that, the way I would go about it today would be I'd either go on an international workshop, mm-hmm. Or I would go to the city I want to go to and like just go there for photography and hire local models, mm-hmm. That are out there. We've done that over the years.
Yep.
We used to, something that was really big for us is every year I wanted a creative recharge, and we would pick 2 weeks every year and go to a city or even a country and shoot. And for a while we were traveling with Michael Anthony and his wife Jen. We would travel with them, pick a city, we'd share an Airbnb, and we would shoot every single day, mm-hmm. for like a 5 to 7 day window. And we'd come back and our portfolios were through the roof.
Yep.
You'd be surprised that now you come back, if you're a wedding photographer, and you start showing that work at bridal shows, even though those brides are getting married locally, you now look like this, world traveler, and they want you to shoot their wedding.
Right.
And it's a showstopper. When I'm at bridal shows and I'm showing those types of images, I will stop brides in their tracks, and they'll just sit there and stare, and they'll go, where was that?
Is that real?
Is that yeah? I get that a lot. Is that real? That was shot in Italy, and
then you get to tell them the story behind it,
and give them a story,
have that connection.
And then all of a sudden, man, it's leading to business, even though they're just getting married locally,
right?
And so I think people really understand or underestimate, I should say, the importance of building your portfolio that way, just as a creative recharge for you, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you get bored here in St. Louis. It's like, fuck, if I got to take one more picture of the St. Louis Arch, right, I'm going to kill myself. And I think every photographer in every city they're at, there's this cliche spot that they have to go shoot. And they feel the same way as I do, right? They're like, oh, okay. Mm-hmm. This place. Even if you're a New York City photographer, you're probably like, Grand Central Station.
Exactly.
Yeah. God, never been there before.
Yeah.
So I'm sure every photographer has that spot. So I love these creative retreats as a way to practice new techniques. Maybe I want to try new lighting, but I wouldn't do it on my client until I feel confident doing it for, a model or my portfolio. And just kind of building stuff out that way so you can now go, one, have a huge portfolio, but feel recharged, from a creative perspective.
Yeah. I remember one of our first portfolio trips was Iceland. And we went over there and we didn't have budget at the time to hire models. So we just modeled.
Yeah.
And we put on wigs and we were way off in the distance. So you never knew it was us. We were like walking away. So you never knew it was us. And I think we did 35 photo shoots in the week we were there.
I appreciate you saying us as if I were a model, but no.
It was you and your ex. But our team at the time, we had 2 girls on our team.
Yeah.
And we just swapped it out because we didn't have budget for models.
I had no budget. Yeah.
Yep. And I remember we had 2 suitcases each. That's what we were allowed. And I had to fit. This popped up in my Facebook memories the other day. It was 38 dresses I had to fit into. I think I had 3 suitcases available.
But how much fun was that?
I wouldn't change that trip for the world. That opened our eyes. And I think that was when we realized how much we wanted to do these trips for image comp.
Yeah.
Because it didn't matter who the subject was. You could change the way a person looks, and it didn't have to be a couple for image comp.
Right. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Those were some of the most fun early days.
That was before Iceland was super touristy, and now everything's off limits in Iceland, and the people hate Americans. So
I was sad to see our last trip there.
Yeah. I do want to say something about destination weddings specifically. So you've got destination engagement sessions, destination senior sessions. Those are all photographed very similarly. But when it comes to a destination wedding, what you have to keep in mind, especially if you want to niche down into being a destination wedding photographer, you have to know that you're photographing these events where people are coming, they're spending a lot of money and time to come over to the couple's wedding. They need to be photographed differently. Yes, you need these big dramatic images, of course, but I think you also need to slow down and capture every single detail. Yeah. And you need to capture the bride and groom with every single person who's there.
Yeah, that's a great point. We've missed the mark on that plenty of times early on in our career.
We're such creative photographers, and that's not always what these people are looking for.
Well, today, stateside table shots, that's a little bit more old school, traditional. Most couples don't want that. But to your point, if a couple has brought you to a destination and then they have 50 guests who are there, those are 50 people who are very important to them.
Very important.
That's very different than being at a stateside wedding and it's 300 guests, right?
Exactly. They don't even know
them, right? Did we just become best friends?
I know, you totally stole my words, but I think I stole your words.
No, so I think that's very important. So we've learned that the hard way. We've missed the mark on a few of those and had to apologize because,
it's not the formula we're used to.
Yeah.
We have a very specific wedding formula.
But I do want to circle back because we talked about how to charge for it, but that is not how we charge for destination weddings per se.
No.
So I want to regroup there. For destination weddings, our packages don't change. So let's say you have a 3-package system. Which we do. If somebody wants us for destination, they have to pay for the top package. Mm-hmm. So we tell them that. We tell them we don't charge you anything extra, but you have to pay for that top package.
Travel.
Plus travel is the key. So that's airfare, hotel.
And it's economy.
We're not, you want to upgrade to first class, that's on you.
Yep.
You can't expect your client to do that. Now, I will tell you, this again is just lessons learned. Do not allow your customer to book your airfare or book your hotel.
I don't know if I agree on the hotel part. Long as, like, if it's part of the venue, like, especially if you're off-site.
If it's part of the venue where the couple's staying,
yes,
that's fine.
Yes.
But now you're getting into a weird conversation, right? Because if you just have a policy where we book our own hotel and travel, you don't have to enter into that gray area. How do you navigate that your way?
Okay, so we have a client, bride and groom, getting married up in Naperville near Chicago next month. Mm-hmm. And she's got a room block at the hotel where they're staying. So typically that means the rooms are going to be cheaper. I try to tell her, like, book us a room because we don't need anything fancy. And I'm not looking to book a hotel that's significantly more expensive just because we book our own travel. And then I have to charge her for that, you know?
Right.
So I just tell her to book our room for us and then send me the confirmation number.
See, here's the problem I have, though. I have photographed weddings internationally before you were at the company, and the groom was a cheap fuck. And in order to save a couple $100, he put me in a hotel that was a motel. And honestly, when you drive down like a major interstate and you see those motels on the side of the road where the door is to the outside and it's sketchy, it made that look like a 5-star accommodation. So once that happened to me, I was like,
I only agree with this.
Again.
No,
but hold on. Also, airfare. If they buy your airfare,
that'll never happen.
We own our business. I'm trying to educate photographers on this.
You're talking to me though.
Yeah. So what ends up happening is two things. One, they're going to pick the cheapest flight. The cheapest flight normally has multiple connections, which just completely devalues your time. Not only does it have multiple connections, it's usually leaving at some ungodly hour of the morning, which maybe you don't care about, I don't know, or going out at some ungodly hour of the night. That's not how we travel.
It's also usually tied to them and their contact information.
Well, that's the other thing. Yeah. So if we need to
change it,
that was delayed / canceled, and I couldn't rebook the ticket because I hadn't been the one who paid for it. It was in his name or something like that. So those are things to watch out for photographers, is that, in the case you're talking about with our wedding in a couple of weeks up in Naperville.
Well, we have a good relationship.
Yeah, we have a good relationship.
I trust that she's not going to be
but it's also stateside. Yeah. It's like, whatever, that's where you're staying. But the international destination weddings, like you're going to Mexico, you're going to the Virgin Islands or something like that, and man, you better make sure you're staying in a good place.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I was in some sketchy.
How many times have we shown up someplace thinking we have a reservation booked by someone else and we get there?
Oh, that's the other thing too.
Yeah.
We've had.
So I always, even if it is stateside and I know we could just get a Hilton down the street, I always make them send me the confirmation number.
Yeah. That's true.
And with flights also, you have to remember that if you're doing this full time and you're traveling constantly, you want to collect points for all this stuff. So you want to make sure that
I want the points.
Yeah, you want to make sure that your credit card is being used. You want to make sure that your honors number is on the room that you book, so you get the points for it. Especially if you've been doing it for a while, you can go to whatever loyalty program you're part of. You check into the hotel, you get the complimentary upgrade. You don't have to pay anything.
Right. And the other thing is, like kind of when do you arrive? What we like to do is not stateside where we're driving, I guess. Naperville we're driving up there, even though it's a destination.
Yeah, we'll go up the day before though.
But let's say it's New York or California, and the wedding's on Saturday. Guys, I'm not getting there, Friday night. You're out of your freaking mind.
Thursday night.
We're getting there Thursday night. This way, if something goes wrong, we still have Friday. So you got to kind of bake that into what you're doing. We don't charge them for that, but just keep that in mind.
Right. And how do you communicate that when you're talking about like what they need to cover? Is you say you specify a hotel for X nights,
right?
For 2 nights. Usually it's the night before and the night of the wedding,
right? And you're explaining to them why.
Yeah, right? And if you want to stay an extra 5 days in the city that the wedding's in, you cover those. You do not pass that whole thing on.
You, for sure. Those are some of the, I would say, tips and tricks. A lot of times if they have a rehearsal dinner,
international, we definitely cover that.
International, we cover.
And it's included.
Yes, but domestically, we don't.
Nope.
We don't cover that. That would be extra hours of coverage. But, what you find is that when you go to the international destinations, the family treats you like you're part of the family.
There is no vendor meal. Like, you're part of the wedding.
Yeah, you're eating. I've never been to a destination wedding where the couple has treated us like outsiders. Never. We're treated like they're all their friends and family.
Yep.
One of my favorite weddings, destination weddings, was up in D.C. and there was the break in the middle of the day, and they took us back to their suite. Yep, they took us back to their suite, and we sat there and we were eating like
it was just the four of us.
Yeah,
like none of their bridal party, nothing. Nope. Just the four of us went back up and like sat down. We're like,
but we had like wine,
like chicken skewers.
I think we had like filet mignon bites. Yeah, I don't know. Like it was so like that was amazing.
That was a fun wedding.
Yeah,
for sure. That was actually the wedding that gave us the idea to get each other ready.
Yes,
get ready on our wedding.
They got ready with each other. Yeah. That gave us the idea. If I had weddings like that, I would shoot weddings forever.
Agreed.
Yeah. It's the other weddings kind of burn me out.
Damien and Marianne's wedding in Italy was another top one for me.
Yeah. Well, same thing, right?
Same thing. We were family.
Like friends and family.
And we got to do we drove up, the four of us and their hair and makeup artist Bruce. We drove up to Rome. So we were in Tuscany for the wedding, and then we drove up to Rome and we did creative shoots along the way.
Kind of a day after.
Yeah. We got to ride the bird scooters down the street with the Coliseum right next to us.
That was amazing.
That was such a cool experience.
Yeah. If you've never been to Italy, or if you have been there by the Coliseum, you have bird scooters that you drive through town. Well, so here we are in Italy, and we're just driving through that whole historical area on scooters, and you're just like, this is where Julius Caesar was. This is where they massacred Christians.
History.
This is where Catholics were, like myself, were just murdered for being Catholic. But anyway, so you're just kind of driving through there, and you have this surreal moment. But that was another destination wedding, and with people who have now become friends of ours, and their peers, they're photographers in the industry. So yeah, those are the ones that I love the most. And again, I would shoot weddings forever if I could have those types of weddings.
Yeah. We filmed a whole behind the scenes of that trip. It's on your YouTube channel.
Oh yeah, it is.
We should link to that
YouTube channel. Yeah. But I think the average wedding kind of burns.
That's why we don't do them.
Yeah. You know, we're at a point where we're doing less than 10 weddings a year. I think it's 10 too many. Honestly, I'd rather be doing my commercial work and all that other stuff. But wedding photography has been good to us. It helped build the brand, and now the clients we get specifically for weddings, they're much more cultivated. Would you say? No. Curated. Yeah. Is the right word. They're much more curated, and it's a better relationship because we're very selective on what weddings we shoot for
got to make sure our vibes are right.
Got to make sure the vibes are right.
Yeah,
for sure. All right, everybody. So hopefully this gets you excited about maybe possibly taking over some destination work, and at least gives you a roadmap on how to navigate it a little bit. So, but hopefully that inspires you. Get out there, man. Travel the world. Eat lots of food.
Oh yeah, the food.
Get a belly. We'll see you in the next video.